Hello?
All right, what do you want?
All right. So earlier, I'm not actually going to disagree with you on anything. Um, Earlier, you said it would be nice if somebody would offer a good faith critique of Ezra Klein's book, and Sam obviously didn't do that. So I thought that I could.
Why?
Uh,
Like, I'm looking for somebody that actually does not like, let's like theoretically think of like in our own brains, like
no,
cool
hold on,
straw
hold on,
mans
chill,
and
chill.
still mans. It's like, okay.
No, it's not so me.
Okay, go ahead. Devil's advocate me. Yes.
All right. It's not even devil's advocate. Chill. Hold on. So the primary thing that um, Ezra Klein does not do in his book is he does not provide a policy prescription. That is one of the main critiques that I have for the book. And one of the things that Sam could have easily destroyed Ezra on if he had actually read the book is the idea that money in politics is being utilized on both sides to slow the process down. Therefore, if we remove money from politics, then Ezra Klein's goal would be achieved. Because one of the main things he talks about is the introduction of lawyers and like policy things, people suing underneath the California equality or equity, whatever fucking thing it is. And those are all functions of money. Sam could have easily destroyed him on that point, but obviously Sam hasn't read the book. It's the idea that rich people can
Well,
like
to be
sue
fair to
each
Sam,
other.
I think Sam did say he read the book, right? And he listened to both versions of the audiobook, right?
He said that, but he would have had examples from the book if he had done so that would have demonstrated this point that I'm going to bring up, which is as Ezra wants to demonstrate the difference between California and Texas, right? And one of his main things is this I can't remember what it's called, California Environment Quality Act or something. CEQA.
Okay.
It's called CEQA.
Okay.
He keeps using that as a demonstration of why the money doesn't matter as much as the policy matters. And Sam could have easily said, well, it seems like you have a bunch of rich lawyers on either side that are condemning or, using the process to gum up the issue. But the thing that Sam misses is that you have two fundamentally opposed rich people on either side of this process, and if the circumstance were different, he would agree with the rich people on one side and disagree with the rich people on the other side. So his prescription of just, get rid of money in politics in general because they're evil is mindless. Because he hasn't even read the material. If he had, he would easily be able to make this critique. Well, if you have two rich lawyers on either side arguing the issue, that's the problem. We need to extract all the money from politics. But he didn't even make that critique.
Okay. That's a critique you can make, but I mean, like, my argument would be that critique, sometimes having multiple invested parties fighting can create like a more efficient outcome. That is possible, but I mean, like this, we'd have to go back and forth in the weeds on this, and you're devil's advocating the position, so it's not even a true
No, but
critique.
but you agree with Ezra on this. And I mostly agree with Ezra on this, is that the issue isn't in the presence of money, it's in the policy granting too much leeway to outside parties. Almost,
I think it's
I
not
don't wanna
about
say
granting. I think it's not about granting too much leeway. It's about the type of leeway that's granted. Like, we can probably imagine there are times when there's a lot of leeway that you would want granted if it has to do with things like racial, like people saying only black people or white people can move into this department. In these places, we probably want a whole bunch of power granted to third-party authorities or whatever in order to be able to regulate this or deal with this. But in other circumstances, maybe we wouldn't. It would probably depend on, this would come down to the actual issue, right? It would depend on the issue itself.
well, yeah, again, you agree with Ezra. It is an issue dependent type thing. But the broader context that Sam wants to get into, he doesn't even fully understand himself, which is why I'm hesitantly agreeing with Ezra, because Ezra seems kind of based and Sam seems kind of uninformed. And my name is Sam, by the way.
Nice.
I don't understand how he could have read the entire book and not picked up on the idea that the reason that high-speed rail and like all these public housing projects are being delayed so frequently in California is because of rich lawyers.
Well,
Like,
I
he
think it's
could have
because of
easily
rich lawyers. It's not. It's. I mean, there are the rich lawyers, but it's probably more like, well, who do the rich lawyers represent, and who they're
No,
represent.
but it's,
Yeah.
if you read the book, it's rich lawyers on both sides. The people that want the project to continue and the people that want to stop the project. So Sam's critique of, oh, just get money out, it doesn't actually represent anything. But if he was intelligent and if he understood the argument, he would be able to say, well, this is why money in politics doesn't actually represent anything. Because Ezra's whole point is like, why is it easier
Well,
to
but doesn't the
build
money in politics, doesn't it represent something here? It represents the interests on both sides, no?
Yes, but Ezra's point is that the process of going through all of the potential claims on either side is slowing down the process of building.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, but Ezra's not saying that we need to just reduce the number of claims. I think it's more that we need to be more intelligent about which claims should we be trying to litigate. Like, what are the claims that are worth going through, right?
Yes, I agree with you, and that's why I mostly agree with Ezra on this issue. My point mainly is that Sam has not read the book because he could easily make this like kind of straw man point, like, well, if you have rich lawyers on both sides, you could just shut down or the rich lawyers will inevitably shut down the project by arguing with each other, which is kind of Ezra's point, but his point isn't about the money, it's about the process.
Okay. Okay.
Am I making sense?
No, I don't get it, but
Wait,
you keep focusing on rich lawyers on both sides. It's not, lawyers are just representative of something else. It's like a proxy. Like, you can never say like the problem are the lawyers. It's not the lawyers, it's who the lawyers represent. Unless the lawyers themselves are just like are clientless lawyers who are just running around looking to fight with people.
No, but that's yes, but my point is the clients actually. If you were in a situation where poor people could not afford a lawyer in the face of a state wanting to implement a certain building change, then there would be no politics on the side of the poor people. Like we saw this with interstate construction that bulldozed people's houses, and we don't really think of that as being like a super libertarian thing where like, oh, the government shouldn't have done this. We're just like, yeah, you had to move out of that house because the house was in the way of the interstate. Ezra's point is to demonstrate that getting rid of money in politics doesn't actually do anything because the interests of each side supersede. The only thing that he's missing in his argument is that the reason that this thing is happening in California specifically, the reason why they have this huge issue with building high-speed rail and affordable housing in California is because you have a bunch of rich lawyers on either side who can afford to litigate the issue endlessly. I may be taking like creative liberty in terms of what I'm reading in the book, but I read the whole thing and I'm like, okay, Sam's logical argument should be, well, if you just got rid of money in politics, then it would just go to the judges, which is kind of missing the point, but also it demonstrates that Sam hasn't read the book because Ezra is demonstrating that the money in politics issue is subservient to the process.
Okay. Okay, gotcha. Anything else?
fuck you, man. You're such a great streamer. I love watching you all the time.
Okay. I love you too, buddy. Be careful. Stay safe, okay?
All right, see you later.
True.
You gotta take a quick break.
What is this Ryan Macbeth video?
I got a question from someone on Reddit. I know, right? Could President Trump be gifted an Air Force One presidential jet from Qatar? A couple of things to start. I am currently in a hotel in Newport, Rhode Island. I'm at a China conference at the Naval War College.
Check out Excalibur for doing quick illustrations instead of paint. I think you'll like as much as... Okay, thank you. I'll think about it. Thank you.
Meeting a lot of interesting people, including Sal from What's Going On with Shipping, who is way more famous than I am. Although, in fact, I'm tangentially famous because people are like, you know Sal? I go, wow, okay, I guess I'm not as much of a big deal as I thought. But I am flying back from the War College tomorrow with a lot of content gathered. And by the way, if you're flying somewhere, my new novel, The Last Republic, is some pretty good airport reading, good beach reading too. It was number 10 on Amazon's Techno Thriller charts at least a couple of days ago, which was right under Blake Crouch, which is like, how did that happen, right? Audiobook coming out soon. It's basically a speculative novel, alternate history like Man in the High Castle, which imagines the prophet Brigham Young founded the nation of Deseret instead of the state of Utah, and what happens 170 years later when it slams into America. Check it out. So Air Force One isn't just a call sign, it's a symbol of American power and mobility. Since the 1940s, various aircraft have carried U.S. presidents, with the most iconic being VC-25A, a modified Boeing 747-200B introduced in 1990. These really are flying fortresses, and they're equipped with advanced communication systems, defensive measures, and they can even refuel in midair. And this kind of ensures that the president can operate securely from anywhere in the world. And right now, there's only 2 VC-25s, so having a third might not be a bad idea, if only to reduce the stress on the airframe and have another option available for when these planes are being maintained. Now, in 2015, the Air Force selected a Boeing 747-8 to replace this aging VC-25A fleet. So they aimed for delivery in 2024, but the project went off the rails. I mean, there were design changes, which it seems like that's the biggest thing plaguing the military right now. That's why we can't build a freaking frigate, right? They keep having design changes. There were supply chain issues. There's a need for specialized security clearances for the workers. It doesn't matter if you're a $30 an hour employee doing wiring harnesses. You need a security clearance to work on Air Force One. And it's not easy to find people who want to get that security clearance, because there's a lot of people who enjoy smoking marijuana in their off time, right?
How can you eat
See the
this
post new
stuff,
sub recently,
man?
shit talking slash doubting Ryan Macbeth. Yeah, that's why we're listening to this video, because apparently that's what it was about.
Love 'em, don't you like these? I told you not to buy it, man. God.
Oh, what'd you do that for, man? I would've ate it.
You never know what's in that stuff, man. It could be a dog or something.
And if you smoke marijuana, you can't hold a security clearance. So it's tough to find people who are willing to work on these things in the first place and meet the conditions of the background check to actually work on the jet. Now, as of right now, the first VC-25B isn't expected until 2027, which leaves a gap in this whole presidential fleet modernization plan. So now we kind of enter this Qatari 747, and this is a lavish aircraft featuring bedrooms and lounges and gold accents and all that. And, well, it sounds like a ready-made solution. Transforming it into Air Force One isn't exactly straightforward. You know, the aircraft lacks essential features like secure communications, defensive countermeasures, electromagnetic pulse hardening for nuclear detonations. Now, this aircraft would fly the president around during a nuclear war, and it needs to be shielded against the kind of electromagnetic pulse that would fry the electronics of other jets. And also don't forget that Air Force One has to be able to refuel in midair. So retrofitting a plane that wasn't designed to refuel in midair to refuel in midair could cost a lot of money, and redesigning it really won't be that easy. So accepting this Qatari gift could be a massive, time-consuming, and costly endeavor that might not actually get finished in time to actually serve the current president. Now, just a little touch on the legal side, and I kind of avoid talking about stuff I don't know, but I actually did a little bit of research on this because I didn't know what an emolument was. Right? So the U.S. Constitution's emoluments clause prohibits federal officials from accepting gifts from foreign states without congressional approval. That's pretty understandable, right? You don't want your president just accepting bribes from other states that would put the United States in debt with that other state. And when I actually looked up what an emolument was, I was actually kind of surprised. An emolument is really just a salary or fee from officer employment. All right, and I guess it's just old style language. So while the Trump administration kind of argues that the plane is a gift to the Department of Defense and will eventually be part of the Trump Presidential Library, which there was a model of Air Force One that is at the Reagan Library. There are critics who raise concerns about the potential conflicts of interest. I don't know that much about that. It doesn't seem that great, but I can tell you that the national security risks of bringing on a civilian plane, trying to retrofit it, we don't know if there's any listening devices on that plane. We have to go over it literally inch by inch to the point where this plane might take just as long to retrofit this gifted plane as it would be to finish the planes that we're currently trying to build. So, while I'm not really capable about talking about the legal end of things, from the engineering side, yeah, this is a massive problem, and it might be a great deal to get a free jet and have a third in the fleet for when maintenance is being performed on these other jets. Sometimes there is a cost to free. So while the idea of accepting this luxurious aircraft as a sort of temporary Air Force One sounds like a pretty darn good deal, the practical aspects are really significant, and the job may not get done in time for the president to actually use the plane. All right, I have got to get to the Naval War College. I can't even believe I'm saying that. Hey, if you want to support the channel, go grab The Last Republic.
But I feel like this wasn't that bad. Or am I crazy? Am I missing something? People made it sound like he was he ended up being like a super Trump simp in this video. It sounds like he just basically did like a straight, like a functional military analysis as opposed to any kind of like bribery analysis. But that poster's retarded and he never actually watched the video. Oh, did he just look at the thumbnail?
Or my previous novel, The Wind Machine, or grab a t-shirt or hoodie from Bunker Branding. Thank you guys so much for watching.
It's me, Captain Bannon of the documentary Team Yankee. When I'm not kicking commie butts, I'm wearing t-shirts from...
Okay.
Hey everyone, it's me, Noah, long time no see. Today I'm going to talk about being sued, or being threatened with a lawsuit at least. I haven't actually been sued yet. Ethan Klein and Mutahar from Some Ordinary Gamers have said that they plan on suing me for defamation. They're doing this in response to a video I posted in March called The YouTubers Who Backed a Genocide. I brought up these legal threats in another video of mine, but they decided to escalate things by paying a lawyer to write a cease and desist, which they sent to me in late March, and in it they ordered me to retract my video within 3 weeks or get my little ass sued. Ethan Klein went on to read the cease and desist on his live stream and repeat this threat over and over again on subsequent episodes.
He started his second video by saying, Ethan's threatened to sue me. It's not a threat. I'm going to sue you.
Oh.
Wait. I'm literally going to sue you for defamation.
Uh-oh.
Noah said in his second video, Ethan's threatening to sue me. Have fun with that, I guess. He said, well, I'm about to have fun with it. And unfortunately, I don't think you're going to be having much fun with it.
He didn't respond to my video by his own admission. He just read what his lawyer wrote for him and then said that his full response would happen in court.
I know he wants me to respond to every point in his video, which I will do in a much more formal setting.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
And I can't wait for you. You know, you can do your cute little videos and all that kinds of business on your YouTube channel. But when it comes to, you know, I'd love to see you reason out in a court document about how I and Mutahar support genocide. I really look forward to that.
Despite all of the threats from these guys, as I said at the outset, I haven't been sued yet. It's been over 3 weeks since the retract.
You think some of the stuff Ethan has been saying on his show is going to cost him one of these lawsuits? I don't know. Have any of these lawsuits actually been launched yet? It would depend on what we're saying would cost him, I guess. I don't know. I haven't seen him. I haven't seen any of these actual lawsuits yet, so.
Action deadline, and as you may see on my channel, the video is still up. Here's a clip of the last time Ethan even mentioned it, which was over 2 weeks ago.
Noah Samson, he has missed his deadline. Actually, Mutahar is in the chat. What did he say? Did you see that Noah's apparently moving out? Yeah, he's sorry, no video, been moving, etc. Video coming soon. It's amazing how nobody wants to respond to me. Everybody goes cold feet. If you're going to level an attack against me, the least you could do is respond.
God, I love this, man. Why won't you play with me? Why does no one want to play with me? Come on. Ever since the retraction deadline passed, the ball has been in Ethan's court. Not responding to a cease and desist is a response on its own, right? According to these people, I'm still actively defaming them because my video is still public, so it's on them to do something about it. But again, aside from some beautiful bills, my mailbox remains empty. If you're wondering where I've been, there's a few reasons I haven't really been able to post much. I've had some personal things going on. I recently moved. I also got doxxed by a certain community of fans of a certain podcast, which I'll talk about in another video. But one of the things
I should spam you more for a debate situation. Samadek says I should provoke you. My handle in Discord is Reason Riffs. You're not even in the stream disagreements room, my dude.
that I've been dealing with is preparing for the possibility of being sued. This was all new to me. I've never been sued and I've never sued anybody. So I had to spend some time and money learning about defamation law and talking to lawyers and free speech organizations. One thing I was definitely advised was to not post for a little while because, you know, anything said online would very likely be used against me in a potential lawsuit. Now, it is possible that these people might still sue me because rich people can do whatever they want whenever they want, including sue whoever they want at any time for any reason. But it's worth noting that Ethan has also been a bit preoccupied in recent weeks, going beast mode in some live debates in front of hundreds of thousands of people.
What?
What? You don't know what I'm talking about?
What is?
What? Yeah, it was on the list. You're lying.
Yeah. I got a free Rolex hat from a friend of mine. I still wear it every now and then.
Yeah, and you're oh wow, who knew? All right, listen, it's 5 o'clock. Like I said, I have a family to go to. I have 3 kids and a wife, and I know that you have a fucking cool ass race car bed to sleep in, and I hope you enjoy that.
Okay, man. Thank you. Have a good one.
And dealing with another very real defamation lawsuit that he's currently losing to a former billionaire, which is a thing that's actually happening right now. He could.
I love how every single motion and every single part of a lawsuit is like you're winning or losing.
To a
YouTuber Ethan Klein loses anti-slap appeal in producer Ryan Kavanaugh defamation case. I'll be honest and I'll say I don't know all of the ins and outs for how slap works, but I think anti-slap is basically if somebody tries to sue you for something and you think this is a frivolous lawsuit, anti-slap allows you to dismiss it, I think before even the pleading stage or during the pleading stage. Is the pleading stage the first stage, or am I Civ Pro people? Just because you don't get something dismissed via anti-slap doesn't mean you're losing the lawsuit. Much the same that if you don't get something dismissed with a motion to dismiss, that doesn't mean you're losing the lawsuit. Even if you failed to dismiss something in summary judgment, it doesn't mean you're losing the lawsuit. Just because you've lost a motion or just because a motion didn't be granted or wasn't granted doesn't mean you're losing the lawsuit. But okay, whatever.
a former billionaire, which is a thing that's actually happening right now. He could be on the hook for a lot of money, which is crazy. So maybe he's just busy and going to get around to it eventually. Personally, though, I don't think they're going to follow through with these threats for a few reasons, but the biggest one is just that
YouTube's always just dishonest and dumb, or did I grow up and see past the BS? I don't really know, bro. I blame Hassan a little bit because he's kind of like the largest of the kind of lefty, progressive-y, whatever hat he's wearing people on the left. And since Hassan doesn't respond with substance to anything and treats all of it as drama slop, I think everybody kind of follows suit. I will say, as dumb as I think Noah Samson is, because I don't think he makes the best arguments at times, at the very least, Noah seems to stick generally more to the substance than just the relentless like drama slopping that people like Hassan does. So I'll give him that at least. He tries at least, even if I disagree with him, he tries.
They don't have a case. I think it's pretty clear that this cease and desist was sent to me with one goal, which was intimidation. It was an attempt to silence my criticism of these creators' genocide, apologia, and participation in baseless smear campaigns against pro-Palestine creators and movements.
All he has to do to avoid getting sued is apologize for everything he said and did, admit he was either lying or ignorant, and erase the video, and also disgrace, like, and just accept the disgrace that is basically lying about two people being pro-genocide, which is one of the most twisted, fucked up things you can accuse someone of.
This sort of thing often works because most people just don't have the resources to deal with a lawsuit. In my case, I don't have the resources either, but what I do have is you, an audience of people that have been very vocally supportive of the potential for contributing to a legal fund. I'll be honest though, I would prefer it if they didn't sue me. Not because I think they have a case, nor because I don't think we can raise the money. It's just that I don't feel comfortable fundraising for...
I would have to go back and see what Noah said in regards to Ethan supporting a genocide. That on its face, that feels to me a little bit like an opinion statement. Unless he's literally saying like Ethan is sending arms or whatever. Like you can say that, you can be of the opinion that like I think Destiny supports the genocide, I think Ethan supports the genocide. I feel like these are opinions that you're offering based on somebody's like overall political disposition, which would mean it wouldn't really be grounds for defamation. But
for legal fees right now, given the many better places
Destiny, that's what you said at the time. Oh, okay, good.
That money could go, like aid for the people being subjected to this ongoing genocide. Seeing as they haven't sued me yet, that's what we're gonna do. That's what this video is for. It's a fundraising video. I started a fundraiser for UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency. The donation link is in the description. I'll also be hosting a fundraising live stream with some special guests and some gaming and hanging out and other things of the sort, which will start on Saturday, May 17th at 2 p.m. Pacific time and probably go for a few days. I don't usually stream, but I'm thinking playing some games, maybe set up an air mattress and do a sleeping stream. I've seen that before. It looks fun. I've set the goal at $200,000 because that's what I was actually quoted
200,000, damn,
quoted as being a safe amount to fundraise in order to be able to afford a potential prolonged legal battle against Ethan and Mutahar, which is crazy, right? That's a lot of money, but I was also thinking we could show them that that's a figure we can achieve if we need to, and instead of it going to a lawyer for some bullshit YouTuber lawsuit, it would go to Gaza. If these guys
with 500,000 plus YouTube subs, I assume Noah's making decentish money now. Maybe, but he does generally like he does generally higher effort content on like YouTube, like video essays, and I don't think he streams, so he probably doesn't actually make as much. So wait, is this the right channel? No. Wait, 558,000 subs. Oh, it is, yeah. So yeah, he only does a couple million views a month, so he probably doesn't make that much. So I can understand him trying to fundraise for this.
Actually do decide to sue me though, in terms of the actual lawsuit, again, I'm not too worried. I told the truth and said what I believed, and I'm prepared to defend it in court should it make it that far. If that does happen, I'll just do another fundraiser, I guess, and then we can donate whatever we don't use once the case gets dropped. It could be a little or it could be a lot. That all depends on how long these guys want to drag this out. I want to talk a bit more about the case, the cease and desist, and a few other things, but first we need to do a sponsor break. I gotta do sponsors because my videos get demonetized and I don't post that much. Support me on Patreon if you want to stop seeing them. Thank you to Delete Me for sponsoring this video. Delete Me is a data removal service that makes securing your online privacy simple, affordable, and effective. Your personal data is being sold online by data brokers. Anyone can buy them, which means you're potentially at risk of being harassed, doxxed, or attacked due to any publicly expressed political views, opinions, or even, your occupation. Delete Me offers comprehensive scanning across hundreds of data brokers, including emails, phone numbers, social media accounts, physical addresses, and more. The process is really simple. First, you'll fill out a search removal form. Then once you...
This mid-roll sponsors a 5-figure payout, no? It could be. For a channel of his size, maybe.
pay securely, Delete Me will begin the process.
Skip the ad, fuck this retard. I mean, like, I think I would support Noah's side on this. I think that you should probably be allowed to give controversial opinions about people. I don't think that saying that somebody is pro-genocide, I don't know if I would say that's like an actionable defamatory statement. I think that it would come down to specific claims made. Now, you have to be careful with these types of suits because it could be that, like, you don't actually get in trouble for saying he's pro-genocide. That's not the thing you get in trouble for. It could be that you've actually made statements that are way stronger than what you should be. So saying something along the lines of fuck, what would it be? I don't even know, actually. It's hard to think, because the genocide stuff is already so abstract. Like Ethan celebrates the genocide. Maybe it could get you in more trouble, celebrates, although that could be opinion-based, but you might have to back that up. I don't know. Defamation is weird, and there's not too much case law on, like, these big defamation cases, but...
immediately. You can also request custom removals by sending specific links and run online scans to self-select the data that you want removed. I've used and trust Delete Me because as an online public figure, it's obviously a helpful option to have, but I think those benefits also extend to anyone with any sort of online presence, which is most people. Take control of your digital footprint today and protect your personal data with Delete Me, your trusted partner in online privacy. Get 20% off Delete Me consumer plans when you go to joindeleteme.com/Samson and use my promo code Samson at checkout. All right, now let's get back to the video. Okay, so about that defamation case, it really seems like none of the people that are supporting or promoting this lawsuit have any clue what defamation actually is. So I want to go over that very briefly.
Calling Gila, I thought it was Hila for the longest time, but apparently it's Gila. Calling Gila a terrorist. I mean, I don't know. Is that a perspective one can have on the IDF? I don't know.
Briefly. Have any clue what defamation actually is. So I want to go over that very briefly.
Calling somebody a supporter of a genocide is a very different thing than saying somebody's career is cooked or saying that somebody fell off or making a video about an internet drama. One of them is a real legitimate thing where people are bad. And the fact is that this is totally different than just a drama slop thing. This is completely different.
For someone to be found liable for defamation, there's a few bars that need to be reached. First, the plaintiff must establish that the allegedly defamatory claim is a statement of fact. Next, that statement of fact must be provably false. It also must have caused demonstrable damages to the plaintiff's finances or reputation. And lastly, the statement has to have been made with...
so like that statement might qualify. So if he's saying like Gila went on a raid where they killed Palestinian children, that could be a defamatory statement, right? Sure.
Actual malice. Actual malice is a legal stance that causes demonstrable damages to the plaintiff's finances or reputation. And lastly, the statement has to have been made with actual malice. Actual malice is a legal standard. It's the highest legal standard for defamation claims, and it's only applied to public figures. Basically, it means that the defamatory statements have to be proven to have been made with the existing knowledge that these statements were false. Now, the first hurdle of Ethan and Mutahar's lawsuit threat is establishing that claim one, that they...
Do you need to demonstrate damages? You need to demonstrate damages generally to a court. Yes, you have to be damaged by an action, because if you're not damaged by the action, then the court has no way to remedy provide a remedy for what you're suing for, right? Like, if you go to a court, the reason why you're going to court is because you're trying to tell the court, like, hey, make me whole again. This guy fucked me over. And if there are no damages, then the court can just say, like, okay, well, we rule in favor of the plaintiff, but who cares? We can't do anything about it, right? So damages are part of it. An exception to that can be if the person is engaged in a tort. I think you're saying engaged in tort, right? Tort is for civil lawsuits that don't relate to contracts. Where there are statutory damages called out. So, for instance, a tort might say, if you flip somebody off at an intersection, then they always get $5,000 and they don't have to prove damages, right? There might be some, I think you'd call that like a statutory claim or something. And then there's also a concept of, generally for defamation, we call this defamation per quad. You can say defamation per se, where there are certain categories of claims you can make about a person where the claim itself is so bad, there are also assumed like statutory damages that person is entitled to. So if I say, oh, this guy is a rapist, right? I don't have to prove damages because somebody called me a rapist. The court will just assume some baseline level of damages because the claim is so on its face. It's just such an extreme claim to make. And there are certain categories of claims you can make about somebody like that where it would count as defamatory per se, where you don't have to actually prove damages at all.
Back to genocide, evidenced by my video's title and thumbnail, is a provably false statement of fact. They immediately fail here, though, because it's not a statement of fact, it's an opinion. It's the conclusion of the arguments and evidence I presented in my video. In defamation cases, when distinguishing between opinion and fact, the broader context of where the statements were made must be considered. In the cease and desist, the lawyer they paid to write it for them chose to ignore this broader context, opting instead to single out one word in the video's title, the word backed, characterize that word using one definition from a single source, and then argue that that word, solely using the definition they've interpreted it to mean, is a statement of fact and also a false one. And not only that, but this falsehood is one that I lied about maliciously. When evaluating defamation claims, headlines are not typically treated as statements of fact when the articles themselves explain how this conclusion was reached. That's what my video was for. It was an hour long. I know for a fact that Ethan accused me of defaming him before he'd even watched it, based on the title and the thumbnail alone. If I had to guess, I would say that the decision to threaten a lawsuit came from this knee-jerk reaction to my video's title and thumbnail, and that knee-jerk reaction was never re-examined because it didn't need to be. Ethan has money and time and no one in his life that is willing to challenge him on something like this, especially not his lawyer.
Wouldn't saying someone supports a genocide qualify as defamation per se? Not really. I mean, you don't have, it's not like a crime to support a genocide or anything like that. I don't think that would count, no.
Who he is paying, so whatever he thinks and says is truth. So how do they go about trying to prove this claim of defamation? Well, it's pretty interesting. They actually go with the no, I didn't defense. They essentially claim, we couldn't have possibly supported a genocide because elsewhere we have said that we don't. We said that genocide is bad, so we are exempt from any criticism for any other things we may have said that do actually support a genocide. For this point, one of the quotes that they cite is Mutahar saying, "I'm not afraid to say that genocide is wrong." Wow, how brave of you, Mutahar. Aside from that being just false, Mutahar stayed silent on Gaza throughout the entirety of the genocide until it was time to join his friends on a Hassan Bad smear campaign. If that's not fear, I don't know what you'd call it other than, I guess, cowardice. But even if it were true, it wouldn't matter. Pointing to examples of lip service doesn't just cancel out other things you've said. Like if someone's...
Like, I don't think Noah really needs to justify his opinion here at all. I think that it's saying that somebody supports a genocide, I would argue, is an opinion. That's an opinion. You can have an opinion like that, regardless of whether you're right or wrong. Like I don't think that's actionable.
Says that they killed someone and then later says that they didn't. It's not...
Why even be charitable to Noah? He's making his bed and there's clear malice, not legalness in his statements. Well, because I don't think you should be suable for being malicious or harassing somebody. I don't think it's like a suable thing. Also, I think you can argue that it's like maybe it's a good thing that lawyers and stuff would get more involved because it might dissuade some types of bad behavior. But like if the new meta for YouTube is that all of us are just going to start suing everybody all the time, I mean, the only people who are really benefiting there are lawyers who are going to be making a fuck ton of money off it. I think it was cringe.
defamation to talk about the first statement without quoting the latter. I didn't think that defense would end up being used by an actual lawyer, but it did, and that's hilarious. Their lawyer is aware of that too, of how unserious this is, as evidenced by his total lack of citations for any case law in this section. This whole claim, the one that's supposed to be the most prominent one, is just blank, and that's because there is no legal precedent for the "no, I didn't" defense. They're just completely going off vibes. The rest of the cease and desist is just sort of funny to read. A lot of it is them saying, "Your Honor, he clip champed me. Your Honor, he literally didn't even watch the video." They spend like 3 pages attempting to debunk a Bad Empanada video essay because I cited it, which is just sort of awesome. It's been said plenty of times already, by Bad Empanada included, but you can't litigate a historical argument in civil court. That's not what civil court is for, and that's not what defamation is. There's one part in the letter where, in an attempt to evidence my malicious intent, their lawyer cites the disparity in the view counts of my videos, accusing me of the legal violation of clout farming. This statement demonstrates that you intended to not just have third parties spread defamatory statements about Ethan, but profit from those defamatory statements. You proved this point yourself when your video entitled "Manufacturing Consent for Genocide" failed to receive many views, particularly in comparison to the first defamatory video. You made the second defamatory video to further profit from your defamatory statements about Ethan. Your Honor, Noah fell off and tried to climb back to relevance by putting my client's name in his mouth. I encourage people to make videos about Ethan because I think the things he's saying are harmful. I think he's spreading pro-Israel propaganda talking points during Israel's active genocide of the Palestinian people in Gaza. And so far, that's been happening. People are making videos and more people are being exposed to the arguments against these ideas that I think are harmful. Their assumption here, though, that these videos could only have been made for nefarious, self-interested aims, that's just pure projection. I think. For these guys, everything is about views and internet fame. You know, everyone is cynical and self-interested, and no one actually believes the things that they say insofar as those beliefs are able to get eyes on their content. There's no way you could be criticizing someone based on any sort of genuine political motive. No, you must just be wanting to jump in on the dog pile, to cash in and grow an audience of snarkers that are there not because they're against genocidal propaganda, but simply because they don't like you. For no reason. Even when you're being a perfect little angel.
They literally put fucking command centers under hospitals. There was more Jews displaced than Palestinians during the Nakba. 900,000 Jews were forced choice, but because they were forced out. The vast majority went to fucking Arabs.
Maybe it's just because they're
Jeez, he really loves. He's so happy when Ethan said that statement. Oh my God.
Semitic. That's
Cringe.
probably it. They're probably all anti-Semitic. Anyone that doesn't like me is anti-Semitic. Ethan, through his lawyer, ascribes all of that to me because that's who he is. But, you know, not everyone is like that. Some people just don't like it when you use genocidal talking points because they don't like genocide. And for them, that's a good enough reason on its own to make a YouTube video. What I also like about this one is that, you know, to argue that I'm self-interested, they cite a video I made knowing full well that it would get shadow banned and demonetized, which it did. If I just wanted views and money, I would not have made that video. To be frank, the reason I made that video was on a pretty simple basic principle, which is being against genocide. And that principle manifests itself in me wanting more people to know about how the media is normalizing this genocide. That same principle is why I made the videos about these guys. It just so happens that when YouTubers are in the thumbnail, more people click on the video. Ethan is aware of this phenomenon, obviously. He's used it for me and many others. It is unfortunate that more people care about what their favorite e-celebs have to say about each other than an active genocide, but that's the frame of reality we're working within on the internet. And I don't know, I think people are doing what they can to try to change that, or at least use it for positive goals, like getting more people to learn about the genocide. And to an extent, for some people, this seemed to work. You know, I got a lot of comments saying they hadn't heard about what's happening in Gaza or about how bad things actually were until that video was recommended to them. And for most people, the only...
Okay, I don't care about this. He goes on for 15 more minutes? He's just responding to this? Oh, okay, we'll see what happens. We got Hassan Slop.
That's why they love Sex Pestany so much, or loved Sex Pestany so much. Part of the reason why they loved him is because Sex Pestany, well, on the one hand...
Man, the Diddy child rapist guy really likes this word for me. What is he even responding to? Hold on.
To all of these... So if I was more of a calculating sociopathic person, I would just be super nice to all of these fucking drama slob tubers in an effort to get them off my fucking back. They're super transactional people overall. Like, they don't care about politics one way or another. Yeah, sure, they have like right-wing
He's stealing my talking points. Nice
tendencies, but they don't give a fuck about that much. They care about drama. They're drama mercenaries for the most part. That's why they love Sex Pestany so much, or loved Sex Pestany so much. Part of the reason why they loved him is because Sex Pestany will, on the one hand, fucking turn around and be like, I hate Donald Trump. Donald Trump supporters should be all shot, or whatever the fuck he says, right? True. And then he'll turn around and be like, but Donald Trump's Department of Homeland Security actually didn't apprehend Hassan. And if they did, then that was good. I thought you were a fucking libtard. What happened? Like, that's it. It's the same with Ethan. Ethan is like, oh.
If you cover the CBP policy showcasing that Hassan didn't truly go through anything improper, and if he did, no, that's already known. This is like a dead in the water argument. Anybody that knows anything about any of this knows that nothing that happened to Hassan was out of the ordinary. Nothing was improper. He completely and totally lied about the entire time frame of how long he was held. It was probably like 10 minutes or 15 minutes tops, based on his own tweets. Like, every single thing about this was a lie. But you know, what are you gonna do?
Oh, I hate Hassan for not sufficiently promoting Kamala Harris. But also, Donald Trump's Department of Homeland Security, I will not be calling out for apprehending Hassan at the border.
Like, no, you weren't apprehended at the border. You got pulled aside for, it was probably literally just the extra questions to clear his global entry shit, but...
Because I am in agreement with them now.
But he like so desperately needs to be a part of the struggle session with everybody else, because he knows, like, he's so uber privileged and he's so like part of the ultra wealthy that he has to separate himself somehow. He's got to set himself aside from these other people somehow.
For this reason. Do you see what I mean? It's so fucking stupid. What is this? Destiny told his suicidal friend to go for it. He committed suicide and Destiny laughs about it. What the fuck?
Why the most random, fucking, insanely unhinged personal attacks? Like, Jesus Christ.
His childhood friend Chris was going through a mental...
Oh, is this part of this June dude or whatever? I have a lot of dark humor. Like, I laugh about Byron killing himself too. Do you think that I was like happy about that, or do you think I was celebrating Byron's suicide? It's just such a weird, cringe attack. But hey, listen, if it makes you feel better about yourself. Not drama slob, by the way. Okay, what else did we have? Hassan says, fuck Lebanese about AB and Lena. Where's the outrage for this? How old is this clip?
Was talking about tokens. He won't even let... Ethan loves talking about tokens. He won't even let his fucking Lebanese employees say shit. Oh. Fucking Lebanese employees. Fucking Lebanese...
Okay.